Hey guys, welcome back to the Film Fan Club. Sam Carrico here. I just wanted to let you know right at the top that this video will have spoilers in it, so you've been warned. Alright, time to finish off Season 4 of Bates Motel. In the last, at the end of Episode 6, it was like Norman was making a lot of progress by the end of that episode, and he was really working with his doctor, and his doctor was talking to the mother persona, and he had a lot of blackouts, but they were kind of constructive blackouts because the doctor was kind of able to get into his psyche and get into kind of figuring out his past and what had really been going on with Norman. All that progress is now on the backslide now because Norman has found out that his mom got married. She's moving on without him in his head, and Norma, she just keeps making it worse in real life. She keeps lying to him because she knows that Norman's not going to really be able to handle it well, and she doesn't really know how to handle the situation in general. So she just kind of is like, nope, I didn't get married. What are you talking about? Okay, well, I don't love him for sure. Okay, well, I love him, but it's not, she just gets caught in a lie, but then lies a little bit more to try and get her out of the situation, but it just keeps making it worse. And that's what really bothers me about Norma too, because then she tries to stick to her guns. It's like, all right, well, I know that my son needs help, so I'm going to tell him, even though he wants to leave the hospital, because eventually Norman decides that he's done with therapy and he doesn't want to stay there anymore. She's like, all right, well, I'm going to tell him you got to stay. I'm going to tell him you got to stay. She goes, tells Dylan, all right, I'm going to tell him I got to stay. Tells Sheriff Romero, I'm going to tell him he's got to stay. And then she goes and tells Norman. Norman cries for like a second, and then she's like, all right, fine, you can go home, you can go home. Which is a terrible decision because as soon as he goes home, it's just a very awkward, tense situation because he gets confronted with Sheriff Romero, and eventually they find, Norman tries to convince him, like, all right, well, we love each other and stuff like that. And then it has this very awkward, tense episode, episode 8, and where the family's all together under one roof, and Romero, and that ends with Romero's like, all right, I'm staying here. I'm gonna like spend the night here. I'm not gonna leave you alone with Norman. And eventually she does get left alone with Norman. I don't know, because I guess Norma makes Sheriff Romero stay, she makes him move out so that way her and Norman can live. The way that Norma treats people in these last 4 episodes is very weird. I don't know, it's problematic because she just doesn't know. I feel bad for her because she doesn't really know how to handle the situation, but at the same time she just keeps making it worse by pushing Sheriff Romero away whenever he should be there more. Like, why would she make him move out? I mean, it's a weird situation that goes on because she kind of goes back and forth between, Norman, I love him and you're going to have to stick to it, or, okay, Norman, fine, I'll kick Sheriff Romero out and it's just you and me. And then, of course, I mean, we knew that it was going to come to this, but we really didn't want it to come to this. The Norman and episode 9, whenever Norma and Norman, they're talking, and I didn't expect it to come in that scene. I got to tell you, I knew ahead of time. I kept foreshadowing it all season. I knew some things that were going to happen. Some people weren't going to make it out alive, and I knew it was Norma, and I even knew it was going to be episode 9 when she died. So I was like, I was kind of I was really surprised that I was so surprised when it happened, because the way they set it up was really well done, I thought, and the way that Norman and Norma were just talking about how they want to restart their life and go out and start anew and be together and all this stuff, and it just seemed really happy, and I was like, okay, they just really want to do that. And unfortunately, that creepy, slowed down version of Mr. Sandman starts playing, and Norman, he's setting his trap, and Sheriff Romero comes, but just a little bit too late. Norma's already gone, but because I guess Norman had been exposed to it just a little bit less, he did survive. So Norman is the one that Sheriff Romero saved, and it's just really crazy. Episode 10 is such a weird, surreal kind of episode, and I watched some behind-the-scenes interviews and stuff. The way that Freddie Highmore plays it is very weird, because he's in his head, he's like, I know that my mother's not dead, but all these people think that he's dead, so I gotta just kind of go along with it. It's weird. Norman actually becomes quite a big dick in the last episode. I mean, really got to say, especially to Sheriff Romero, whenever they both go and like mess with Norman's dead body, which is kind of weird that Sheriff Romero went and put the ring on it in the morgue. But it was cute. It was a nice scene. But then Norman, the little asshole, took it off and gave it back to Romero. He was like, here you go, I thought you might want this. And it's like that rivalry. Man, I can't wait to see it play out in season 5, because he's coming for him, man. You know that Sheriff Romero is going to be pissed in season 5. And I saw that trailer. We'll talk a little about that bit about the trailer in a second for season 5. But it just looked like Sheriff Romero is out for blood now. He's got no good feelings for Norman left. He's been teetering the past couple seasons, but now he's got no good feelings for him, and he's coming for him. That'll be interesting to see that play out because he's been a dick to him, honestly, gotta say. And then of course the way that Max, Dylan, and Emma, they have a little bit of a storyline in episodes 7 through 10 where they're just kind of figuring out what. And Dylan gets so close to figuring out what happened to Emma's mom that it's pretty scary, and he just decides that it's too scary and he's got to leave, and he even tells Norman, he pleads with Norman, you gotta get help. And then when Dylan leaves, that's when everything goes bad. So it's just really interesting because I know Dylan's coming back, I know Sheriff Romero of course is coming back. Those are some pretty big loose threads that are coming. Let's talk about the trailer for a second, because we did see that by the end of episode 10, Norma, his mother, right as he's about to kill himself because he thinks his mom's abandoned him because she's dead, and he digs up her grave and everything, but then finally he hears her playing the music, so his mother persona is back talking to him even though his real mom's dead. So that's where we're kind of, I really was telling Hannah, you can pretty much, after you finish season 4, if you ignore a couple of the plot, the loose threads with Sheriff Romero and Dylan, you could pretty much just watch the movie Psycho after you finish season 4, and I guess that's what they're going to be doing in season 5, because we do see Rihanna as Marion Crane, which that seems like a really weird casting decision to bring in Rihanna as Marion, but we're going to be seeing a lot of that. We're going to be seeing a lot of Norma as Norman, and interacting with his the ghost of his mom through his hallucinations, kind of. And what I noticed about the ending to Psycho, because I rewatched it recently, is that the movie Psycho ends with him fully having become his mother's persona, and in the mother persona, she is like, well, I didn't want to have to condemn, my son, but they think I did it, and I wouldn't, I won't prove, I'll prove that I'm a good person, I won't even swat that fly, and they'll say she wouldn't even hurt a fly. So by the end of the movie Psycho, I realized that Norman becomes Norma, who thinks that Norman is the killer. But right now, the way it is, Norman thinks that his mother is the killer. So we got to eventually, over the course of season 5, if they're going to follow through with this, they're going to have to swap the two and make it to where Norman fully becomes his mother, who thinks that Norman is the killer and is pushing the blame off of Norman. It's just this weird person within a person's personality kind of thing. So they got a lot of work left to do, but I think the way that they've brought it right up to pretty much the beginning of the movie Psycho in season 4 especially, man, I really love the relationship between Romero and Norma, even though Norma had kind of treated him pretty badly in favor of Norman after Norman got taken out of the mental institution. I really bought into their relationship a lot more than Dylan and Emma, so I gotta say, it was such a tragedy by that scene, the way that Nestor Carbonell, I realize his name is Nestor Carbonell, he just did a great job this season, particularly in episode 9, and I think he directed like one of the episodes too, like episode 8 or something like that, I don't know, but he did a good job directing and acting in this season. He was a really standout performance this season, I gotta say. I didn't care about the Dylan and Emma stuff at all in this season. It was just a complete waste, but and then of course Freddie Highmore, he just continues to fall into this role, and it's just gonna really get crazy, I think, next season, the way that they've set it up. So I'm really excited for that, because they've done the whole prequel thing, now they just gotta adapt and put their own stamp on the iconic story that we all know and love so well. So it'll be really interesting to see whenever the show starts in February 20th. So let me know what you think about season 4 of Psycho in the comments section below. Hey, thanks for checking this video out. If you like it, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel for more content like this. We got more TV recaps, movie reviews, movie news, podcasts, the whole shebang. Subscribe to this YouTube channel and follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well, @Samuel D. Carrico. Thanks a lot. You have a good one.